All right. Chair, Gary Delvaux.
Here.
Vice Chair, Matt Schuler.
Here.
Alderperson, Barbara Dorf.
Here.
Jim Blumerick.
Here.
Debbie Dean has to be excused. Kathy Hinkfus.
Here.
And Melanie Parma also has to be excused.
All right. Approval of
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jim and Alderdorf. All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes from May 12th and May 27th. Actually, we had two meetings. That's right. We had a special meeting. So let's approve both minutes.
Move to approve. Kathy Hinkfist moved it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kathy, motion made by Kathy, second by Matt. All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Minutes from May 12th to May 27th have been approved. Regular business, consideration with possible action on resolutions designating the Redevelopment Authority, RDA, to perform all acts necessary for creating, amending, and/or closing tax incremental district 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, 17, 24, and 25. I thought we did this once before.
We did. And so what we're doing is just some housekeeping items. So I'm going to go through and just talk a little bit about what we're planning to do. So attached in your packet are what we're doing today, and just so I'm clear, it's basically resolutions that the council will pass to allow the Redevelopment Authority to be really the agency that handles all the actions for the tax increment districts. Generally by state statute, it's the Plan Commission, but in the city, we've had a history of doing it through RDA. So we just like to formalize it through this process. So these are just authorizing resolutions. This is not creating anything. This is not terminating anything. It's just saying RDA is going to be the body that does this.
Sure.
And what we're going to do is, yes, we did a number of these last year, but what we're really hoping to have is, or what the DOR said is, look, you actually have to do it and pass some of the resolutions in the year that you're actually going to do it. So last year, right, was just big comprehensive picture of here's all we're doing. And I think it's really just so for this body, our council and the Joint Review Board can get better indication of, okay, why are we doing these things and how do they all fit together? And now it's actually following through on a number of those actions. So some of it, right, we'll have seen before, and just it'll be very simple and straightforward. So with that, I don't know what's coming up. Is TID 7 on the screen right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so yep, TID 7, Lombardi Ashland, again, just taking the actions to do the affordable housing resolution and close this property down. This was replaced by TID 23 in order to finance additional projects there. TID 8, which is Burger Morrow, again, same thing, the affordable housing resolution and shutting this one down. TID 9, potentially amendment before we shut it down. There may be just a chance of one project in here. So I just want to explore that before we finally terminate this. TID 12, again, the affordable housing resolution. We're in the process right now of looking how to do a new TID out in this area and expand the I-43 business park. TID 14, we did a tier, but we were asking for an extension resolution. GRB held that last year. They didn't vote it down, but they didn't extend it in terms of an additional 3 years. So we're going to be asking for that again. And then discussion of 2 new tax increment districts, TID 24, which is generally in the area of South Adams. That's the One Astor project, the old Kersher Metal Building, to bring that in. A portion of that's in TID 5, but in order to do a new TID, bring in the Royal Cleaner site. We have property at Chicago and Monroe. So we'll discuss these boundaries later on, but this is generally the neighborhood on which we would be creating that district. And then TID 25 to create one and around the Associated Bank parking lot, which will provide funding for the Gorman project that'll be moving forward. So those are the resolutions that are before you, and staff is recommend that RDA recommends council adopt these resolutions so we can undertake that process this summer.
Okay. Questions on that, please? The Associate Bank one is going to be, it's a standalone, 25?
Correct. We had potentially discussed amending the boundaries of, I believe it's 20, which is Whitney Park.
Yeah.
But given, and I don't know if Finance Director Diana is on, we talked about, I think it would be more beneficial to create an own standalone TID. And because it's just a little far off and the concept is a little bit different than what we're looking at in Whitney Park. Where Whitney Park has really been focused a lot more on some residential development. This is a lot more mixed use and potentially in terms of some of the debt that may be incurred in terms of the parking lot acquisition, we felt it would be better to create its own TID in this area here.
Some comments? Do you have any comments, Deanna? No comments? Okay.
Would you like a motion or are there still some questions?
So just so I'm clear, all we're doing today with these resolutions is making the RDA the responsible party for taking any subsequent actions. We're not doing anything relative to any one of these districts right now other than giving RDA the authority.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to move to approve the resolutions as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alder Dorf, by Jim. Questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. Number 2, consideration and preliminary concept plan for a shipyard at 100 West Mason, tax parcel 2-78.
All right.
Got some beautiful drawings.
This is me again.
Yep.
I'll pull up here.
It's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's nothing new to present. I know there was maybe some confusion over what was going to be discussed here. I just wanted to make sure that the wording was correct in case there was action taken. This is the concept plan that the RDA and council approved last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's just kind of an overhead view and then show just kind of the oblique view in terms of how this would all lay out. And so, for those of you who've been with this, at least during my tenure here, this project has had some considerable evolution over its time. And really what I wanted to do today is just have a discussion about, the path forward for the shipyard. As you can see, if you've been over there, we're in the process of doing the filling and grading on the site in order to bring everything out of the floodplain. Really the mass grading was done to get that site, really safe from the high water levels. It took us forever to get on there because it was so wet last year, and then we started, and then we had that early winter. But we resumed and should be finishing up shortly with that mass grading. You've also seen some additional construction, as long as you're tearing it up. The Department of Public Works is working on a lift station over in that neighborhood to provide some additional capacity for dealing with some of the flooding, especially, that's through our stormwater system over there. Look, it's tough right now. That water level is so high, those big pipes, are just, they're filled up, so there's nowhere for the water to go. So it doesn't take much and they start backing up. Hopefully this lift station is going to provide some relief in that though, and will be incorporated into this project. So that is the construction that has been undergone so far. We're in the process of moving forward with, all right, having some discussions about what are the next phases for implementation and construction. And, I think like every project, you want to be careful, one, about the resources that you're allocating, but you also want to do so in a way that's smart in terms of scheduling that construction, so that as long as you've got things, torn up, that you're tearing up a lot at once. And so, trying to make sure that we're timing this well with the merge development, who we've approved a term sheet and we're negotiating and putting together the development agreement on that. Coming back to the RDA soon, really to spell out the timetable for when we're doing this construction. We approved this plan. I don't know if anyone, probably some epidemiologists had heard of COVID-19, but we really, things are different in terms of events and recreational spaces. And so wanted to get some, direction from the RDA and in terms of your thoughts about how we may want to phase certain parts of this project, or if there are tweaks or modifications that we should do considering kind of the new state of affairs. With that, I think two things. One, there are some considerations we're going to have to take when it comes to, groups of people and surfaces and how we, interact in large gatherings. In the same aspect, I think there's a lot of potential with this site to do some things that people want to do. In terms of concerts, well, maybe I'm not going to go to a concert inside, but spread out on a lawn. Hey, I'm comfortable doing that. I'm not going to go to a crowded bar, but if I can spread out in a beer garden, or get some food and beverage that way, there's potential to do that there. So with that, what I had put together and the consultant had provided, they broke down the component into a number of different, deliverables or project components, construction components, which are kind of, all right, here's pieces that we could spec out and bid out, all together or, piece at a time. And what I'm looking for today from the RDA is some direction in terms of what you feel should be a priority in terms of us moving forward with that construction. Things that maybe should waves of, well, maybe let's see what happens, either with COVID or with merge or, other pieces of development. And really just to give us some guidance on how you want to move forward with that. I did have closed session language on here. I think if you wanted to get down into some, details, and I've had some discussions, with Director Ellenbecker in terms of, where we're at in terms of finances for this. I think we're trying to, borrow incrementally so that we're not taking all this money out and being able to spend it as we use it. I can also say, we've been successful. Matt Buchanan in our department helping us secure some additional grant funding to move forward with this. There's another we're still pursuing. But then also just, again, long-term, other revenue sources, either from management or sponsorship. So I don't know if share initial thoughts in terms of where you feel would like us to take this conversation, or if you want to discuss things as involved in investment of some funds in a closed session. I'll leave that to your discretion. But really, we're just trying to get have a checkpoint in terms of how you'd like us to proceed with this development.
A couple comments. One is that I think the sooner that we can show some progress and that there can be some use of the property, I think the better. I think we're gonna get more buy-in by the citizens, et cetera. So a phase where we can start utilizing some of the property to show progress, I think is very important. From a pure construction, does Public Works have an opinion as far as the sequence of the pieces, or not really?
No, I think, right, we're letting them do the messy work right now with the lift station, because we're just, doing the building now, so there's no fine construction going on. So I think that is okay. I will just say the only comment or discussion point that we had is it's probably easier, to work from the waterfront back towards Broadway. That you don't want to make, things real nice and pretty and then drive heavy construction equipment for them to fix them. So I think that would be the only, comment that we've discussed. That if you want to do some things, along the waterfront, it's probably best to do those sooner than later, so that you're not driving back over. You can do it via water, but it's just that much more expensive, as you know, with City Deck to do that construction water-based than it is land-based.
Yes. A couple other quick comments. One, sure. I personally really like the design, and I appreciate everybody's input in that. But the other thing is, I really appreciate the amount of listening sessions you had and the amount of folks that gave input into this. So, I think the design is very good. I'm not sure what everybody else feels about it, but I think the design is very good. And we've had it's addressing a lot of different audiences. And I think that's important. So, anyway, great job with the listening sessions, and I think the design is good. But I appreciate everybody else's input from that perspective. Alder Dorf, have an opinion?
I love the design, and I agree with it going from, the riverfront in. The promenade might be a nice thing to start with. People could walk around. Maybe you do need the parking to go in. It's all great. As far as I'm concerned, I really like it. And I'd like to know what staff thinks.
Alder Johnson, is he on? Alder Johnson?
He's there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Your opinion is always very much appreciated.
Yeah, so Director Vonk and I had a conversation before this meeting about maybe some things that I was looking at. And in particular, I think that there's some modifications that might be necessary from a functionality perspective. That's not necessarily something that would influence today's conversation very heavily. But if there was something that would affect, if it's something you want to talk about in open session, or if you feel that discussion, but do we have any available price estimates for each of these components?
So we do have some preliminary numbers from our consultant. Given that they're still in draft stage and it's a discussion in terms of where we're going to invest those, I think it would probably be best to discuss those in closed. I think also to respect because these are all projects that are going to have to go out for public bid. That in terms of where we're negotiating things right now, it'd be in our best interest to do that in closed session in terms of discussing some of those numbers.
Okay, so I think it's important that we have a conversation around that. I don't know how we can reasonably decide how to piecemeal this without having a conversation about what cost structure might look like. In terms of the overall design, I agree. I think it's very sound. I think it reflects what the community has said that they wanted to see. And I think that's a product of all the listening sessions that the chairman alluded to. That was a very important piece of this, and I think the team did a great job with that. And like I said, the functionality things that I was referring to, these aren't substantial things that turn the design upside down, but it's just, hey, if we place something here instead of there, you get a little bit more efficiency. But I think we can deal with that really outside of the large scale decision that needs to be made today. But I think having a conversation again around that cost, that's a closed session where we have to do that to me sets the stage more than anything about how you piecemeal some of this together.
I'll make them, and
I'll second that.
And I can read the language.
Okay, please. Alder Dorf made the motion to go to closed session, seconded by Kathy. And Alder Dorf, please read the wording.
The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85 1E Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 Wisconsin statutes, to report the results of the closed session and to consider the balance of the agenda.
Okay, roll call, please. Kevin, will do roll
Gary
call?
Delvaux,
Yes.
Matt Schuler,
Here.
Alderperson Barbara Dorf,
Yes.
Jim Blumreich,
Yes,
Kathy Hinkfuss.
Yes.
All right.
All right. All right. I'm just going to get Shelby, if she's listening, we can get rolling again and let everybody back in. All right. All right. Shelby, are you there to get rolling?
Yep, we're rolling.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So motion and second to go back into open session. Gary Delvaux,
Yes.
Matt Schuler,
Here.
Alderperson Barbara Dorf, Jim Blumreich,
yes.
Kathy Hinkfuss.
Yes.
Okay, we're back in open session. And I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to move that staff proceed as directed in closed session.
Second.
I'll second it.
I think I heard Matt. I'm sorry. Motion made by Alder Dorf and a second by Matt. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 3. Wow, good comments by everybody. And but item 2. And item 3 now. Consideration with possible action on the acquisition of 719-723 South Broadway tax parcels 2-98 and 2-97 using funds from TID 22.
All right, well, that would be me, Ken Rovinsky.
Again,
Hey, Ken.
So Shipyard talk today. We have an opportunity here to acquire another property in the district. This property, 719, 723 South Broadway, sent to our property we purchased last year at 801 South Broadway. With the acquisition of this property, we would be able to vacate 3rd Street and merge the two properties together. And then we'd be looking to put out an RFP for a mixed-use development on the entire site. In the interim between that time period, the structure is pretty solid on site. There are some issues with the roof. The previous owner did not properly winterize it, so there are some issues with it, but we may be able to use that building. But ultimately, our goal would be to join this whole site together for another, prime piece of real estate down in the Shipyard neighborhood. We have an accepted offer on this property right now for $120,000, and we've started looking at a phase 1, 2, when we're going to be doing those side by side to speed up the closing process, so we're able to get this property hopefully by the end of July is when we're looking to close. I guess with that, if anyone has any questions on our future development there, or any other questions regarding this property, otherwise staff would be looking to recommend acquisition of 719, 723 South Broadway using TID 22.
Move to approve.
okay.
Oh, you can have some discussion. I don't care. This sounds great.
Move to approve, but I got a question, waiver. But is there a second? Then I'll ask the question.
Yes, because I think we do need to.
Okay. So, Ken, the whole idea that this should be
Correct.
Yeah, it's a nice piece of. It's going to be a nice parcel, especially with the one we previously purchased.
Absolutely.
Any idea what might be developed there or could be developed there from zoning perspective or anything?
Yeah, staff has looked at it. You know, we're kind of looking for something similar to 901 Main. Boost apartment building with commercial or retail on the first floor.
That would fit in nice to it with the park.
Absolutely, and it's very prominent. You know, you have the off ramp right there where, you know, when you're coming down to the shipyard, it's going to be the first thing you see. So it's a nice piece of real estate there that we can have our hand in redeveloping.
And what's the equalized value on the property?
All total. Oh shoot, I don't have.
Yeah, that's
Shoot, and that's the one number I didn't include, but it's just under the 120,000 asking price. That includes the building and the parking lot.
The assessed or
Oh, that's the assessed value.
oh, okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Then we shall vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Kathy. Opposed, motion carried. All right, number 4.
Gary, could I say something?
Yeah, please.
There is another Zoom meeting scheduled in this family at 3:00. And so I may have to give up the computer to the other person in this family. So is there still going to be a quorum if I have to leave at 3?
Yes, we will. Yes,
Well,
Okay.
Gary, I've got to
Yes.
leave at 3:15.
Okay, we're going to move to the
Zoom
next
right
one
through
real
this.
quick. 4, consideration with possible action on a development agreement with Give a Damn Ventures LLC for property located at 320 South Webster Avenue, tax parcel 1450.
All right, that's me again, Ken Rovinsky.
Yes.
So Marissa Melkovic of Give a Damn Ventures is proposing a 2-family rental home at 320 South Webster. She was a student at UWGB, and she had noticed that there was a need for decent, affordable housing between campus and downtown when she was there. She had proposed a similar project to this on our Harold Street property a while back, and at that time, the RDA had directed staff to work with the developer for a multifamily structure. Staff had identified a few sites for this developer, and she has chosen the 320 South Webster site to build a 2-family energy efficient home. Staff also worked with the developer on the design, and we do feel that this would be a good fit for that South Webster block. So staff, well, let's see. So yeah, we're looking at a total construction budget cost here of about $230,000. In order to keep her rents down, she's asking that the RDA deed the property at $0. But then the rest of the construction costs will be from the developer. We've worked with her quite a bit on this, with design and everything, and we do feel very comfortable with this. So staff is recommending that we approve a development agreement with Give a Damn Ventures for the construction of a 2-family rental home on the RDA property located at 320 South Webster Avenue.
And we've kind of got a design already, don't we? It's a site plan. And it's assessed right now at $15,900, but just land, right?
Correct. Yeah, we purchased the RDA purchased this property back in 2007
Sure.
and demolished the building at that time. And we've been marketing it on our website since then. And the developer feels this is a great site for her rental unit here, and it's great connection with Webster, connecting to university. Really a good connection for students here to hopefully attract and retain the students from UWGB.
And you feel very good about the site plan, right?
We do, yeah. Marissa met with our real estate team, and we hashed a few things out when, placement of where parking would be and, even flipping the design so there would be more windows on, because the elevation here, there's going to be exposed basement on the one side.
Okay.
So we worked with her on that as well.
Is there a
Ken-
garage?
I'm sorry. Jim, please.
Ken, when you marketed the property for sale, what was the listing price?
We had it listed at the land value.
At 15?
Yes.
Okay.
And there weren't any other takers, I take it.
There were not.
Okay. Entertain a- I'm sorry.
Certainly, Ken, the big thing here is, right, this has been off the tax rolls for 13 years. And while we might not sell the property for anything, we're going to put this back on the tax rolls, correct?
Yeah.
That is correct. Yep.
That's key.
And I should also mention Marissa, the principal of Give a Damn Ventures, is on the call with us here today. So if you had any other questions for her, we could open the floor.
I have one question. Is there a garage? Garages.
Right now it is,
Marissa, you're on mute.
We have to open the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Can I move to open the floor?
Alder, open the floor. Second by
Again. I'll second.
Kathy. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Open the floor, please. Could you answer the question in regard to parking?
No, it was more about garage. I mean, beautiful home, and I'm just wondering if there's also parking including with that.
Yeah.
Or a
absolutely.
garage.
Sure. They're on our site plan. We actually have, right now it's a carport just because this is a rental property. It can always be converted into a garage if that's the deciding factor. But right now it's a two, and then we have plenty of parking on the parking pad for 3 additional vehicles. And that's on our site plan that we can share too.
Any other questions for the developer? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go back to regular business.
So
Move
moved.
to get back. Second.
Motion by Jim and second by Alder, back to regular business. All those saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now I'll entertain a motion.
one other thing I should mention before we go forward, sorry. Marissa has met with the neighborhood association and they are supportive of this project. They're excited to see something developed there and a good quality unit in the neighborhood.
Excellent.
I move to approve the project.
A motion by Alder, second by Matt. Did you, Matt?
I didn't, but I'm willing to.
I thought so. Okay. Motion by Alder, second by Matt. All those, first of all, any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Number 5, consideration of possible action on a new art installation and passive stormwater management landscaping in the Old North Sculpture Park. Who might that be?
That would be me.
Okay.
So last fall, the RDA approved or allocated about $75,000 towards art projects. Some of that money has already been utilized for our sidewalk poetry program. And we've also received approval from you to utilize it for our art installation in the alley. This project that we're proposing is a new sculpture to be installed at Old North Sculpture Park. There's already 2 sculptures within that location. In addition to that, we're also requesting utilization of $10,000 of neighborhood enhancement funding to incorporate stormwater plantings and other greenery within that space.
This has been approved by Parks. Parks is all in favor of this? Park and Recreation?
This property is RDA property.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll add in, we have been working with Parks and DPW as far as the passive stormwater management. They have both had input on, techniques that we need to do and what we need to,
Excellent.
what types of plants and grading.
Excellent. All right. So obviously staff is fully supportive, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Gary, I'll move to approve staff recommendation.
Motion by Jim, second by, I'm sorry, Alder Dorf?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. All right, now, I had no problem with the financial report. Director's report, project updates. We had a lot of input already, Kim, but anything else you want to talk to us about?
Just a heads up, I know annually we go through tax increment districts and reporting. We'll be having a joint review board meeting later this month. And then in July, generally we'll go through with the RDA and then just talk about where things are at, right? Performance of TIDs, projects in the queue. Today, potentially these new tax increment districts, what the next steps are for that.
Okay. Anything new with Associate Park parking lot?
So part of it, our part, right, is the path to create the tax increment district for that. I've been exchanging some contacts with the developer, and he's putting together some different financing packages, options at the moment. But we should be able to move forward with a development agreement this summer.
Breakthrough Fuels.
So they've been in a little bit of a holding pattern, obviously, right? Just a few combination things. The parent company with their development project in Fox Cities, and then also just given impact of COVID conditions on oil and fuels and things of that nature. So nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Any other questions for Kevin or staff from the rest of the group?
Gary, one last thing I mentioned, sorry, not the director, but last month I had mentioned that I would have a video walkthrough of my house.
Yes.
You have that if I'm allowed to screen share, if you guys want.
Well,
Or we probably don't have time. But.
I think we'll do it next meeting. I think. I know Jim's got to leave. Barb's going to be leaving. So I think we'll cover that next time when we can.
I'll put it on next month.
All right.
Yeah, definitely want to see it. Looking forward to it.
Our next meeting is July 14th. With that in mind, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Jim?
Second.
by Kathy. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you very
Stay
much.
well.
Yes.